3 underway. Here's the serve. Set by Dutra. McGrath with the slam. Shot enough goes too deep. Side out to Brazil. Braulio Volk conveying tactics to his teammate alongside of him, and there's the quickness of the Soviet Union, completely catching the Brazilians by surprise. In fact, I don't think any of those Brazilians even had time really to get off the floor. One of them did, but the other 2 blockers were completely caught unawares. Back with the Russians. What's the call? Aruda. It's in. Side out to Brazil. Well, there's Aruda. He must get at least a metre off the ground with that vertical jump of his. Victor Yuri Sherednik serving to the Soviet Union. They win side out. Block at the net by the Russians, but it goes out of court. The match tied at 0 in the 3rd. Bolt serves one of those spinning, dropping serves, which are often difficult to receive. But 4 hits caught against the Russians there, and so the first point of the 3rd set goes to Brazil. Now that could make a big difference, because psychologically they have been destroyed in the opening rallies of each of the first 2 games, allowing the Russians to jump out to sizable and early leads. But here they've won the first point, and that's, as we said, psychologically an important sort of for any team to achieve, particularly when you're down by 2 games to 0. So McGrath picks up the 2nd point for Brazil. And an interesting statistic that has emerged from the 4 matches today, that every team that has scored first in every set has gone on to win the game. Now, there was a net violation called against Brazil there, but the referee has reversed the call. And the point goes to Brazil, 3-0. And it's make it 4-0. That's really the first time we've seen a bad defensive error by the Russian backcourt players. Braulio vaulting serving for Brazil, who scored more points in the first couple of minutes of this 3rd game than they did in the entire 2nd. They only managed 3 from the entire match. So relief in the Russian camp as they win it back at last as the block goes out. And playing and setting it up for Aruda. He's the key attacker in this Brazilian side, and if they can get enough good ball to him, he could be the key man in this Brazilian comeback. The Russians have effectively blocked him out of the game so far, but it's a slightly different ball game now with the Brazilians attacked 4-0, and the Russians finding themselves having to do far more defensive work than they did in either of those first 2 games. The Brazilians really on top of their game for the first time in this match. McGrath getting the better of Shapanov. It might have been a bit too deep. A nice slam. Let's have a look at this. Well, I don't know about that one. I think that one was out. It should have been the 5th point, I think, for Brazil, but it was called the other way. The Russians get a break, and they get a point. Or was it a net violation? Yeah. Call for a lifted ball, I think. Sherednik. Well, lifted ball counted against Sherednik. And the serve from Brazil, from Douglas Giarotti, it's too deep. Oleg Shatanov. The Russians still looking for their first point in this third game. Easy winners of the first two. And there it is. Comes at last. They're on the board. Comes from the block. That one clearly in and good. McGraw again finding the floor. Couldn't clear it over the net off the block. It's 5-1. Off the block and off the Russian out of court. 5-1. But in one sense, we are seeing a repeat of the pattern that emerged in the first two games, with one side jumping out to a large lead in the early stages of the set. The Soviets down by 1-5. There. Bit of play there from the Russians. Measured and calm, putting it away with the block. 2-5. There comes over to the left-hand side. Aruda. Plenty of power on that smash. He's blocked, but not in bounds. Now the Soviet Union look as if they're setting up a couple of substitutions. We'll have those for you in a moment. Shachin coming up from behind. Number 11, Yaroslav Antonov, is coming on. Is he coming off? In fact, he's coming off then. Krasilnikov is coming on. This is Evgeny Krasilnikov, a 25-year-old from Moscow, who's principally a setter. Soviets wise to that blow there by the Brazilians. And Shatanov's smash goes out of bounds. It's back to Brazil. They're up 5-2. Shatanov most unhappy with that performance. High and deep does the big Brazilian. Nice play there by Alexander Shachin. Fast and powerful from Shachin, and side out to the USSR. Aruda. Shatanov up over the block and also gets the point. There it is. That's what it looks like from Netcam. The Brazilians far more competitive in this third set after being whitewashed by the Russians in the first two sets, 15-6, 15-3, but they have been considerably more competitive in this third set. At one stage led by 5-1, but the Soviet Union have quietly and methodically chipped away at that lead. They're back to 5-4, but they had no reply to that powerful smash from Magno. This is Douglas Chiarotti with the serve. Then goes Shatanov again and smashes his way through the Brazilian block. Sheer raw power there that produced the winning rally for the Soviet Union. The Brazilians let it go, and what's the call? Service ace. The Brazilians undone there by their enthusiasm. So the Soviet Union have got back to 5-all, and that's out at 6-5. A desperate dig from Chiarotti. There's the great spectacle of volleyball. The huge frame diving across the floor in a desperate attempt to keep the ball alive, but that time Chiarotti was unable to do so. Some confusion in the Russian defense on the front line, and in the end, Follman just threw his arm out after he realized that the ball had been lost. He obviously didn't hear all the communication. some time after the USSR. So 6-5, this has been a very fine comeback by the Russians, down 5-1. They didn't panic. This time the block is out. Brazilians won the side out. Marcelo Negrão to serve. Very fast, powerful jump serve. Service error. They're very hard to affect those serves at that sort of speed. And Sharednik for the USSR. Quieter, softer, but nonetheless just as difficult serve to receive. Aruda on the tip, gets the point. Aruda's side out. So Julio Bot to serve, and the side trailing for the first time in the match at 5-6. The first time in this game at 5-6. Set up nicely there by the Russians. For number 4, Ruslan Olakver. It's the winner away. It's side out to the USSR at 6-5. Nice pick up there off the net by Shartonov. He goes cross-court, the Russian. And it's good. 7-5. Must have come off a Brazilian hand as it went out of bounds. Brushed the Brazilian hand at the net. Substitution here for Brazil. Gilson Fernando comes on. Fernando, who started the match for Brazil. We didn't see him in the second game at all, but he's back here. A serve from the Russians. Confusion there amongst the Brazilians. 8-5. Make that 9-5, and the Russians may well be breaking the spirit of the Brazilians here. This sudden rush of points from being down, remember, 5-1. They've won the last 8 points in a row. And it will be very difficult, I think, for the Brazilians to do much about this now. The Russians again in control, and we have seen them that once they take control of a match, they offer very little towards the opposition by way of a comeback.
Continuing to serve for the Soviet Union is number 4,
Ruslan Olakver, who's turned on a brilliant display of serving in this match. Dutra sets it up. Violation by one of those back row attackers. In fact, I think he crossed the line before it went over the net. The point goes to the USSR. 12-5, and Olakver now serving for his 7th consecutive point. This has been a serve. Olakver really had to play that one. That may have dropped in that serve. It did have some topspin on it. Shardsheen going for the tip. Nicely disguised. Takes back the side out for the USSR. 12-6. Nice reaction there by the Russians after being in a little difficulty. The block that's out, and they can't get to that one. Back with service goes to the Brazilians at 6-12. Sharednik tried, but to no avail. Sharednik sets it up. Mean puts it down hard. Brazil with the dig. Negrão goes out of bounds. That cross-court slammer. So the Soviet Union 3 points away from winning this match against the South American champions, Brazil. Shartonov sends it right back home for another point. It's 13-6. The Brazilian coach continues to ring the changes. You are allowed to make up to 6 subs per game. It's blocked back by Shartonov, and it's good. So here it is. We've come to match point at 14-6 to the Soviet Union. Jodzin serves it up, and that's it. A disappointing way for the match to end for the Brazilians. They look completely disillusioned towards the end of this match after a breathtaking comeback by the Russians, and that really must have sent a very clear message to the Americans and the Cubans that the Russians are really serious about winning the gold medal. They were put to the sword by the Brazilians at the start of this third set when the South Americans jumped down to that 5-1 lead, but then the Russians really turned it on, a powerful display, and from 1-5 down they went out to win 15-6, clean sweep the Brazilians, 15-6, 15-3, 15